like, I wish you understood me more. And I think everyone wishes that from everyone. Like, I wish my parents understood me more. I wish certain friends understood me more. I wish I understood myself more. You know what I mean? So I think that would have been, that's always like a benefit, to feel seen as a young person, you know? I also wish I understood you more. You know what I mean? I definitely think I could have been a better brother.
I think it's easy for us to look at people, but even our family members, as caricatures, right? Like, I'm sure even spouses, like, they've been married for decades, probably still don't really even know each other. So I think that's probably a human condition, right? Like, trying to truly see and understand a person is like a lifelong journey. It's quite difficult, even though you may have grown up with this person for your whole life, to not really know them. 美乐地家庭 Podcast。 Hello, 大家，欢迎回到美乐地家庭。In this episode, we have my brother Vincent back from America, California. So we're going to do this episode in English. And I just thought that I'd ask him some questions and let you guys also get to know a little bit about our childhood, and what it was like growing up with siblings, and I guess just like growing up in a pastor's family and just like all of that jazz. So yeah, Vin, do you want to like introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. Hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Vincent Hwang. I am currently 28 years old. I'm a full-time dance teacher, mainly hip-hop dance, and I also perform in battle, and I also like to do my own video channel called Selective Visual, where I like to film my friends
follow.
And other dance-related things in the Bay Area. So yeah, that's what I do full-time right now. And yeah, I think that's about it.
How would you describe our childhood if I could give you 3 words?
Describe my childhood: Christian, home, and chill. It was pretty chill.
Pretty chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of church stuff, a lot of traveling, a lot of just hanging out with friends at church and like doing random stuff. A lot.
Yeah, that second word, home, would kind of include like homeschooling, probably, because we were homeschooled I was homeschooled from 5th grade all the way to 12th grade, and then Vincent was homeschooled from like 3rd grade or 2nd grade. First grade?
Well, 2nd grade technically, I guess. 2nd grade until 8th grade.
Yeah, 2nd grade to 8th grade, and then he went back to public high school. If there was anything you could change about our childhood, what would it be? You wouldn't change a thing.
I wouldn't really change anything, but if I could have a do-over, I would do it over again differently, just to see how things would have played out differently, I guess.
How would you do it differently?
Probably would have went to public school earlier, and probably would have tried to start dancing earlier.
I mean, so that's an interesting question. Did you not enjoy the homeschooling part of it? Like, what was homeschooling for you?
It was just very chill. It wasn't
too chill.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to compare to something that you don't have, but I didn't have any, like, it wasn't like depressing or sad necessarily. It was just like a lot of the same things every day. But I guess you could say that about normal school in general. Okay. So, you know, maybe it's not as crazy as it probably wouldn't have been that much better if I went to public school earlier. But yeah, I had a lot of fun being homeschooled. I think it gave me a lot of opportunities to try different sports and to learn a couple of different instruments, and it probably which all probably helped me a lot in the long run in terms of like my artistic career. So yeah, you know, like I wouldn't necessarily change anything, but if I had a do-over, I would like to see how things would have went if I went different directions, I guess.
But you enjoyed your time in public school a lot.
Oh yeah, public school was lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun making new friends and actually having teachers that I get to see every day. I like woke up excited to go to school. I was like, yay, it's 8 in the morning and I'm ready to go to school. And yeah, like it was also cool to like climb the social ladder within school. I think like I started off having like no friends and like eating lunch by myself and like getting to know all of the like nerds and like not the popular kids at first because they were more accessible. And then by my senior year, I was like friends with everyone, and then I was like friends with the popular kids. But then what it taught me was like the popular kids are also just kids, and they're all just as weird as I thought they would be. So like it kind of gave me a good lesson of like realizing everyone is kind of the same and like knowing how to kind of interact with different crowds. I think that was very eye-opening experience, at least. But yeah.
Yeah, I think we were all quite happy that your public school experience was as positive as it is, because I think the first year, like you said, you didn't have any friends, because a lot of people go into high school, at least with their middle school friends, like they have their posse, but you ended up doing okay. And like you started hip hop club, not just in your school, but like in different schools in the city. How would you say like our parents being Christian or like pastors, because you said one of the adjectives for your childhood was Christian, do you say that with like any undertone? Like how was that for you? Do you think that was a good or a neutral or bad thing?
It's a positive connotation, undertone. I think for me, it definitely shaped a lot of my childhood. I think it allowed me to think about issues in a certain lens from a very young age. Like it was very fun for me to like contemplate theology and debate with my dad and like talk to him about different religious concepts. And I think it was always fun for me. And I think as an artist, I'm also still very influenced by my Christian upbringing. But yeah, I mean, Christianity and growing up as a pastor's kid, the way it shaped me was, I think it placed a lot of expectations on me. And I definitely struggled for a while in my middle school time with like my identity and like feeling like I didn't fit in within my family. I had like depression for a little while because I felt like I was like not a good Christian. And it also like it gave me a framework of like in terms of like values, but then because of this hierarchy of values, it also allowed me to like do a counter to those values. And I think that also got me into like hip hop and stuff. And I was like, oh, like when I first found out about hip hop with my friends Luke and Josh, it was so different from what my upbringing was that I was like, wow, this is so different and it's so cool. So then like it gave me a very interesting comparison in terms of culture. Like it really helped me to understand like Christian culture, and then on the flip side like hip hop culture. It was very interesting for me. But yeah, I mean, I think Christianity also did help me a lot, because I also had a lot of like radical experiences with God, and feeling like I was filled with the Holy Spirit and like crying, and like I remember just like during my depression, I remember like at a conference at IHOP, I was just like hit with the realization that like Jesus loved me even if I was inadequate, and he loved me even as I was at the time. And I like just cried like the whole night. I was like just like in my like room just like crying. And
wow.
Yeah, and I think those kind of situations definitely helped shape me. Like Christianity definitely helped. It both created the structure that made me feel like I wasn't good enough, but also provided the comfort that I was. So it's a very interesting like dichotomy for me. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that's the tension in faith, right? It's that we are sinners saved by grace. So so we are very dark, we are very sinful, but at the same time, despite all that, God still loves us.
Yeah.
So you got into, theology or like discussions with our dad, because our dad is very into like, I feel like he's very into philosophy and like science as well. So he likes to have these discussions with his kids. And so you think being able to have those conversations with dad at a young age, and then going to church in this like religious environment, that helped you shape the philosopher that you are today? Because I know that you're very passionate about these things even now. Is that something that you think stemmed from your childhood and maybe being at church?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Christianity and like religious thinking is like the foundation of a lot of different kinds of art and a lot of different kinds of philosophy. And even things that I consume today that are considered secular still do have religious undertones that I see from my upbringing. And I think the spiritual religious teachings that I had as a kid gave me a vocabulary and a framework in which to discuss other concepts within like dance and philosophy, because art is very spiritual. A lot of artists who aren't Christian consider themselves spiritual, right? And if you're spiritual, then you start to use certain language and certain concepts that in the end are connected to religious themes. So it definitely shaped me, and it definitely allows me to have effective conversations with my dad about secular things and have religious spiritual conversations with my secular friends. So it kind of like helps both. Like I feel like it allows me to talk to both sides in different ways. But yeah,
as you can tell, Vincent's a very deep thinker, and he has a lot of thoughts about art and faith and relationships. Like I'd say Vincent in our family, he's up there with Mama, like on the EQ level. Like he's always been really good at relating to all sorts of different types of people. So I think you being able to like go out there and, you know, I was homeschooled like for most of my childhood, but Vincent being able to go to public school and then like meet a lot of different types of people, build relationships with them, I think was really good for him. And it's definitely a strength of his that I envy as well. Just you being able to connect with so many types of people. It's not even just that you're in those environments, but you generally have an innate ability to connect with people, I think. Yeah. Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about us. Sister brother dynamic. Do you have a favorite memory of us, like our favorite childhood memory of us? Now you're gonna make me feel like you don't remember anything about.
I mean,
or do you only have like non-favorite memories?
I mean, most of my memories that I remember with you are like traveling. Like I think of when we went to Japan and like got to kayak over like some jellyfish together.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed like, I feel like when I was in youth group, we also played like on the same worship team from here and there, and like I think that was pretty fun, playing drums and you singing and playing piano. I feel like I have some memory of that. Yeah, I mean there were plenty of times where we talked and like would just like have our own little brother sister check-ins about like where we're at, and I always appreciate those too. But yeah, I don't know. How about you? You have a favorite memory? Can you think of?
Well, just as you were sharing, I feel like it gave me the feeling like girls and guys are a little different, because I feel like guys, like maybe for you it's like, how can I separate myself from my family, differentiate myself from my family? I feel like that's more of a priority for you. But for me, like as the sister, maybe because I'm also the big sister, and as the female, I feel like we're a lot more family oriented. So I'm always like, I want to identify with my family, and I want Vincent to identify with our family, you know, like, and I always like, it's more protective. I think there's that more of that energy. So I have a lot of memories of us in our childhood. Like I remember when we were living in that big house, and we would entertain ourselves by like making cardboard boxes, or we would like draw faces on rocks, or we would go picking like vegetation from outside. Like I feel like there was a lot of like things that we did because we had to entertain ourselves because we were homeschooled.
Yeah. Well, I think during that, everything you just described was like a certain time period where we lived in like a really big house. We just moved to California, and we were homeschooled. So it was like I didn't make friends yet with the church kids. So we were really like each other's best friends during that time.
We had
like,
to be.
And I think after that period, we slowly kind of like started doing our own thing a little bit. But there was a time period where like I do remember just like doing a lot with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like we would build things, like play Legos together. We built like that like Lego Ferris wheel. I don't know if you remember that thing that like would spin.
Yeah.
And like we would like surprise our parents with like a a trip to Hawaii or something like that.
I remember that.
Because like we learned how to make Jello, like flan, and like we were really into it. So like we like decorated the dining room to look tropical, and then we like dressed up as like touristy kind of things.
Exactly.
And then we like made
a little cardboard tourist car or something.
Yeah, and then we like brought our parents some Jello and flan and served them.
Yeah.
That's a core memory for sure.
Yeah.
And also drawing on rocks. Like we were really into Zoombinis. I don't know if anyone even knows who Zoombinis is anymore, but it's a bunch of like weird characters, and we would like draw their faces on like hard little rocks we found. And yeah, those were fun. You were really good at drawing, so I remember always asking you to draw a lot for me. Yeah,
those are my most fun memories, I guess, of us. And then like you said, like as you started going to school, and then I was also doing my own thing at church, we did kind of drift apart. And I think that I was really sad about that. Like Vincent was not so sad about it, because like I said, I think he was always trying to differentiate himself. And so I'll just share this one story that I think was really funny, because you and your friends would go hiking at Mission Peak early in the morning. And then one time I really wanted to join you guys, and then Vincent was like, no girls allowed. And I was so sad, but I was like, fine. He said no girls allowed. And then like the next day after you guys came back, I like found out that Bianca went. Another one of his friend's little sister. And I was like, but you said no girls were allowed. I was so sad about it. I journaled it. And I even like went back to read that journal entry like years later, and I told Vincent about it.
Dang. Yeah, I regret that. I regret my sexism. You know, now I'm like, come on, girls are welcome. They're equals.
Now you're a feminist.
Yeah, now I'm a feminist. But yeah, I think at the time, I really did not want you there. Like, I was just like, these are my friends.
What did you have against me?
Get your own friends. I was like, these are mine. But yeah, in the end, I think I was a little rude about that. I regret it. I'm sorry.
But do you really though? Like, honestly, I think if I was in your shoes, I'd probably do the same thing. Because let's talk about the difference between us. Like Vincent, like I said, he gets along with a lot of people. I actually do think I'm quite a boring person. Like, I think in a lot of ways, like, I'm not. Do you think I'm fun? Is that a weird question? Fun. Am I fun?
So
like,
fun.
I don't know. Like, maybe because I'm a lot more of like that homeschool like esque. I have that aurora about me because I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and then I didn't even go to college. I think people get that vibe. Like, yeah, she's kind of sheltered. She kind of grew up in a bubble, and I admit it. I don't deny it. Would you say?
Well, I think you're fun in a wholesome kind of clean way. I guess like the way my childhood went and the kind of friends that I had, like I was friends with all of the like naughty kids of church, like all of the kids at church who like to like get into trouble, go places where we're not supposed to go, say things we're not supposed to say. Like that was very fun for us, you know. And I think you had at a very young age already like cultivated a certain like brand of like, I'm the worship leader, like pastor's daughter. Like I definitely didn't subscribe to that brand at an early age, and that's why I felt like whenever you were there, it was like like I feel like now we're all gonna be self-conscious about it, or like you know, or you might comment on the things that we do, you know what I mean? And it's like I think at a young age I was like, I just want us to be wild, you know what I mean? And she's gonna hold us back from being wild, you know what I mean?
And I don't think you were wrong.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, like, so it's okay, you know, like I think my group of friends and the kind of things that I like to do when I was young was definitely like I already read into like, yeah, it probably wasn't what you wanted to do, you know what I mean? And then like
it's what I wanted to want to do. But I probably actually didn't want to.
Yeah, you know, so I was doing you a favor, honestly.
You probably were. I don't know if it's being the bigger sibling, like the elder sibling syndrome. Like usually the firstborn is just a little bit more cookie cutter, like follow the rules and like responsibility and all that stuff. But then I think in our hearts we want to have fun. In our hearts we want to be wild too, but we want to, but actually we also want to be fit in the cookie cutter at the same time. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're kind of conflicted that way.
We all struggle. I mean, you can't escape the wanting to fit in. I think I also wanted to fit into your world more, and that's also why I struggled with my own depression. I was like, people used to call me immature and like, you know, this and that, and I used to be like, damn, I wish I was more mature like Alan, and I could be like more like my sister or something like that, so that like people would take me seriously and things like that. So like, you know, it wasn't perfect on either side. Like, you want to fit in with the crazy kids. The crazy kids also feel that like they want to fit in with like the good kids. Like, it just depends on who has the majority or what the environment calls for. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that I'm more fun or, you know, like I had a better experience than you necessarily, you know, because in the end, it all shaped us into who we became. And yeah, so wouldn't regret it.
Yeah, that's true. So the grass is always greener on the other side, I guess. We always envy the other sibling, or the older one envies the younger one envies the older one. I have a spicy question. Maybe. Do you think that Mama and Baba had a favorite kid?
Oh. Wow.
Is that spicy?
Oh, too spicy. I mean, I don't think so. I think they have, just like I said, like in different environments and situations, they would, you know what I mean? Like they definitely depend on you way more, and they worked with you way more. You know what I mean?
My relationship with them is more work based.
Yeah, more work based,
compared to
but
yours.
also more emotionally, because like I wouldn't say that I like confided in them as much as you did, and
That's
I wouldn't
true.
say that like they knew as much about me as they know about you. You know what I
But
mean?
is that their problem or yours?
Probably mine. You know, I would say mine. But also like you could always say it's theirs because they're their parents, and like they could have made more of an effort, or like, you know, like because they're in a way they're at the helm too. But I'm also at the helm as a kid. You know what I mean? So it wasn't just them. You know, but it depends on the situation. I think for me though, certain temperament, like I think I'm easier to deal with because I think I don't get as emotional as quick. So maybe they do prefer dealing with me when it comes to like, you know, my reaction, I guess. But in terms of like trusting and working with and like being and relying on someone, is definitely you know? So yeah, because I know that like they could tell me to do something, and I probably won't. So they know they can't bet on it. You know what I mean? They're just like, they tell me to like be somewhere, and they'll just like cross their fingers, like hope he shows up. You know what I mean?
We're so different.
Yeah. So yeah, like I wouldn't say like definitively they have a favorite, but I think in different situations, like I play hard to get. You know what I mean? So it's like, do you want the person that's like hard to get, or the person that you got? So like, you know, I don't know. You know?
Dang, yeah, that's a good answer. I feel like because you play hard to get, and so I'm always trying to please you too.
Yeah, I know. That's how I do it. I'm like a cat. You know what I mean? Like,
this is your strategy.
Like if you have a cat and a dog, like you would think you're the cat and I'm the dog, but you're more the dog because I'm the cat. And like you play with the dog more, you know what I mean? And it's like you have a relationship with it. It loves you. But then the cat is like, when it does play with you, you're just like, oh, this cat,
you
like,
feel like the center of the world.
I feel accepted, and it's such a special thing when it like gives me attention. You know what I mean?
But then the next minute it's like,
you know what I mean? And then it's part of the game though. And then you're just like, please though, like play with me, you know?
So bad.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like cats.
I know, right? They're just like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, shifty.
I always describe me and Vincent with the parable that Jesus said, like there are two sons, and then the dad tells them both to do something, and the older one goes, no, I don't want to do it, but then he does it. And then the younger one goes, okay, sure, dad, I'll do it, but he doesn't do it. And I'm like, nobody likes the reaction of the older son because he's like, no, but he does it. And so at the end of the day, he's still the one who like did it. But then the younger son, everyone likes the younger son, but like he actually doesn't do anything.
No, for sure. For sure. I'm the prodigal son, just the one who who goes off and comes back, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, he came back!" It's like, "Yay!" And then all of a sudden, it's also just like, "What?
Yeah. What? You got the cow. You
sure.
got the rope."
For sure.
Yeah, no, but we all still love Vincent a lot. I think something that I learned a lot from Vincent is how like true you still stay to yourself. Like, even I think maybe because you struggle through like these things as a young person, and so you just kind of had to make a decision, like, even if I don't fit in here, like, I'm just gonna be true to who I am or discover my own path. And I actually do admire that a lot about you, because I think it's also easy for me, maybe growing up in this environment, and also maybe because I'm the big sister, like, it's too easy for me to just be like, I'll just do what other people want me to do. And then sometimes it does actually make me more irritable because I end up not doing what I wanted to do because I try too hard to like fit in compared to you. Sometimes I think I end up betraying myself, right? But then maybe you will choose to do something or not do something because you'd rather stay true to yourself, which I think is a really good quality. Would you say that's true? Love you. Am I flattering you?
Yeah, you're really buttering me up here. I mean, I would like to think that I try to stay true to myself. I also do question like if there is a true me. That's like that weird philosophy thing within me too. But it's like part of me, I just do. I guess like is doing what you want, being true to yourself, or is there like, or is doing what you really want being true to yourself. I don't know if that makes sense. Like sometimes I feel like I'm an impulsive person, and I'll just do what my impulse tells me to do.
I see.
But sometimes I also do have that like higher meta consciousness in my head of like, maybe I should have done this, or maybe this way, you know. But I do get like antsy and bothered if I feel like I'm coerced into doing things that I don't want to do, and like it's hard for me to sit in that for too long. So I guess in that way I do stay true to myself in a way where it's like I think pretending is exhausting after a while. Like I think if I'm put in a situation where like I have to like act a certain way for too long, like it gets exhausting for me. That's also why I like to just be around my friends or hip-hop dancers who I get to just like kind of relax around. But I also do enjoy being around like Christians. Like I don't think when I'm around Christians like I'm necessarily pretending. Like I think I am genuinely happy and like I am polite kind of person. But I think sometimes I don't think it allows me to be all of me, if that makes sense. Like it's a part of me, like me, my persona when I'm at church and things like that. It's a real part of me. It's like a part of me that I grew up with, but it doesn't necessarily give leeway to like all of me, which is like I could be pretty, I don't know, you know,
Kurt.
Sure. I can, I could be different. And I have a lot of thoughts in my head when things are going on that I wouldn't necessarily say out loud to certain people. But yeah, that's just
See, I feel like that's the difference between me and you is like, I do feel like you're a lot more polite than I am. You're like in certain situations that calls for it, you're very good at the politics. You're very polite and people like immediately usually find you very charming. Whereas me, I feel like because maybe that's just not my personality, like, so in some ways I also am just true to myself wherever I am. And so maybe that also allows me to stay in this environment without feeling drained or burn out as much as you do, because you feel like in this environment you have to put on a face or whatever, whereas like I might not be as charming, but I can be charming too. But also I am curt when I have to be, and I tend to just speak my mind, and that might offend people, even though you feel like in this environment you shouldn't be offensive, but I'm just kind of like that. And so I guess that's allowed me, it's kind of protected me to like just stay in this environment for longer, maybe feel more comfortable.
I feel like it's definitely true, because you stayed in the church way longer than I did,
and you've worked with church people way longer than I have. So actually, I never really worked with church people as much as you have. So I think because this is like your work environment and your like entire life, I think you were able to unify these different personas into like just like who you are in a way. So I think in a way you are more true to yourself. And for me, I still do kind of like separate parts of me, I think, when it comes to
sacred and secular, that sort of divide.
I mean, in my head and with certain friends, I do have a unified me, but I think when it comes to like being in church, I don't think I present that as much as I would.
Yeah, maybe you could try to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a goal of mine to start to articulate myself more and be more bold with my thoughts and what I share with the world, even with my secular friends. I think I would say like I would like to be even more spiritual with my secular friends and more secular with my spiritual friends. So like it's kind of like, because I definitely think both parts of me are, I think they're connected. I think secular and spiritual, they're all just like different resolutions of generally the same thing. But
yeah,
it's just like, yeah, just having the boldness to like say it is usually kind of scary. But yeah.
Which leads me to my last question, because as you were sharing this, it made me feel like maybe as a young person growing up with an older sister who was like a worship leader and like serving a lot in church, and then our parents are pastors, like maybe, and I know you've shared this before, it made you feel like you're growing up under my shadow. So my question is, how do you think I could have been a better sibling? Maybe not make you feel like you had to like escape from my shadow, or feel like you had to perform, or feel like you had to put on a face.
I don't know. I mean, I think I could have been a better sibling too. I mean, I think we all could be better people. You know what I mean? Like, to be a better sibling maybe just means to be a better person. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like more patient, better at explaining, like
Definitely I could have been more patient.
Sure. You know what I mean? But like it would have changed who you were. Like, I think to be a better sibling, sometimes it's like to relate to someone more and to like be there more for them and to like know what they're into. But I mean, I wouldn't have really wanted that from you necessarily. You know what I mean? I don't think I went to you for that, but I could have maybe if you provided it. I don't know. But I think for you, I guess I would have liked, I mean, I guess just I wish you understood me more. And I think everyone wishes that from everyone. Like, I wish my parents understood me more. I wish certain friends understood me more. I wish I understood myself more. You know what I mean? So I think that would have been, that's always like a benefit, to feel seen as a young person, you know? I also wish I understood you more. You know what I mean? I definitely think I could have been a better brother, in the sense of like inviting you to hang out with my friends and helping you socialize more. Like, maybe if I like opened the door more for you to like my friends and made you do some more crazy stuff with us, maybe it would have like helped you in your journey. You know what I mean? But like, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it necessarily would have made you a better person. Like, I don't know that. You know what I mean? But I think I could have tried more. I think for me, I could have like showed more support for your artistic endeavors and choices in life. You know what I mean? I think that could have helped. But I think we did the best we could in a lot of ways. I think in compared to certain siblings, I think we're like up there, you know? So
yeah, we could still have this talk.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We still respect each other and talk to each other. So yeah, I don't know.
I like what you said about everyone wants to just be seen and understood. Like, I think it is like what you said, it's mutual. Like, I think it's easy for us to look at people, but even our family members, as caricatures, right? Like you even say, oh, you're the prodigal son. It's easy for me sometimes to put you in that box and just be like, oh yeah, all of Vincent's thoughts and things are just like completely different from mine, and he's just so not spiritual, you know? But like, actually in a lot of ways you're quite spiritual, and like you actually still do subscribe to a lot of the same values, you know? Like but it's easy for me to put you in that box because it serves me. It makes my life simpler. And then it was easy for you growing up also probably to put me in a box and just be like, oh yeah, Gigi's just, this super spiritual Christian girl, whatever. And like, I'm sure even spouses, like they've been married for decades, probably still don't really even know each other. So I think that's probably a human condition, right? Like trying to truly see and understand a person is like a lifelong journey. It's quite difficult, even though you may have grown up with this person for your whole life, to not really know them. Like that's possible, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, humans, like, we're constantly changing, and there's so much to us. It's like it might be impossible to ever truly know someone completely, because you'd have to see them in so many different situations and circumstances to like be like, oh, I didn't know you were capable of that, or this and that. You know what I mean? And can we even know ourselves?
Yeah. And then the paradox to that too, like you might not know somebody for very long, and yet you feel completely seen by them. I don't know. It's like they see the pure part of you, like the childlike, or I don't know, like your intention or something.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes the people who know you the best don't actually know you the longest, and then the people who know you the longest don't know you the best.
Yeah, I would say sometimes caricatures are more true than our feelings. Like, I guess caricature is not really a good word. I would use like archetypes. You know what I mean? I think like a lot of times, like there's moments where like you see someone and you see what they can be, you know what I mean, rather than seeing who they are. And I think a lot of times, like if you're around everyone who knows you, who thinks they know you, and you think that they know you, and then you're like, oh, they all see me this certain kind of way, and then someone comes and sees you like as like, oh, you're God's son, or you're like a woman or something, you know what I mean? And then you're just like, well, I'm a woman and I'm capable of like all of these different like complex things, you know what I mean? And like this one person sees me in a way that I don't even see myself, you know what I mean? And sometimes like if someone saw me as a young person and was like, saw me for just who I was, which was just like maybe like this naughty kid who was just, running around doing his own thing, or maybe if they saw me and they were like, oh, you are this, like you're called to this, or your like your potential, you know what I mean? And it's like there's both good and bad about that, like if someone saw, like sometimes what happens is like, I think like the reason why I had depression was like I felt like because everyone saw me as pastor's kid, then I felt like, okay, like I don't live up to that symbol, you know what I mean? And that could also create like this disconnect of like, oh, people don't really see me, you know what I mean? So you do need both. You need the real, and then you need the metaphysical, like symbolic worlds to truly understand who you are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I wouldn't say one is more true than the other, because they kind of play off of each other. But yeah, I don't know. We're getting kind of weird in a weird topic here, but yeah, you feel me? It's
yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
I think ideally it would be the marriage of both, right? The physical, the literal, like you might be very naughty and I know all your ins and outs and I know all the seasons of your life, but at the same time I also see your spiritual. I can still see your potential. I think sometimes where we get it wrong is we only see them in the present, right? We only see them like in their failure or in, their shortcomings, but we don't see the potential. We don't see their heart behind it, that maybe they really want to get better, or maybe they don't even have to get better, but like something innately in them is beautiful and valuable and wonderful. And then other times we meet people who that's all they see of us. They think we're wonderful, but then there's this side of us that's like, but they don't really know me. They don't know, like they've never seen me at my worst. Whereas I think family, like if we can get to that place, because we do actually know each other the most in the physical sense, in the literal sense. But if we can also get to that place where spiritually we can see each other, the true spirit, that you are a wonderful son of God, whatever. Instead of sometimes getting too caught up in just like, why are you like always later? Why are you doing this? Or why can't you get this math equation right? So many things are just too practical. Yeah. But like how to like marry the physical and the spiritual together. Yeah. So
yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think that's a lifelong process that the whole world is trying to figure out. So yeah, we're in
We're doing all right.
We're doing all right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for this conversation, Vin.
Yeah, I had so much fun. Thanks for having me. Melody Jatting, let's
Melody
go.
Jatting, let's go.